Have you ever wondered why everyone seems to be using this luxury vinyl flooring these days? Well, we're going to tell you why we used it here and why it's the preferred choice in a lot of situations. We're also going to give you a bunch of tips on how to install it and give you some advice on how to avoid some common mistakes. And by the end, hopefully you'll be flooring like a professional, or at the very least like us. But first, let's talk about what we got and where we got it, which for this project was Rona, because they have a huge selection of vinyl flooring, and for this particular project, we needed one that had an extra thick wear layer and that could be installed anywhere. And after doing some research, we landed on DuraClick XRP. It's an extra rigid luxury vinyl plank flooring with a built-in underpad, which is great because as you can see, we're installing it on top of a concrete floor. The underpad also makes the floor more quiet and comfortable when you walk on it. And not only that, it's 100% waterproof and pet friendly. But best of all, because it's a floating click locking floor system, it's super easy to install. But what about in areas where it's not so easy to install, like around doorways or thresholds? While it is recommended that you separate rooms using a transition trim piece, we found if you're able to cut enough relief around door jambs, casings, and adjacent walls, you're often able to run the floor continuously while still maintaining an expansion gap along each wall. We do this by using a piece of the floor as a template and then running a multi-tool underneath all the areas that are obstructing the floor from continuing. Now, this may also require you to click some pieces beforehand and slide them in like a puzzle, and it can get tricky, but in many cases, like this one, it is doable with enough foresight and planning. Now, this can be finicky and frustrating at times, but in our opinion, having a continuous floor looks a lot nicer than having a transition in between each doorway. Now, another thing that makes this worth doing in our opinion is the fact that you're able to cut this floor with a knife. You're not running back and forth to a saw, making tons of dust and debris every time you need to make a cut. When you need to rip a piece down, you simply mark it, score it with a sharp knife a few times, and then snap it over something with a sturdy, straight edge. If you have a notch to cut out, think of it like drywall. For the short side, use a saw or something with some teeth to cut through that, and then score and snap the long cut like you would any other rip. When starting a large section of a new room, it's a great idea to use a straight edge or a laser to make sure that your new floor is staying straight and perpendicular to the walls. It's easy for the boards to shift before they're locked into place with the subsequent rows. It's also important to place shims around the perimeter of the room to prevent the floor from shifting during installation and to provide an expansion gap when the floor is finished. Now, this may seem complicated, but trust us, once you get started, the process could not be simpler. All you have to do is slide the long side of the plank in at a slight angle, then slide it to the left and push the ends until they click and lock together. Now, it's important here not to use too much force. If they're not clicking, it's probably misaligned and you're better off readjusting the piece rather than forcing it together. Now, we've already shown you that we can cut this stuff with a knife, but because we are professionals, we have a laminate cutter, which is by far the easiest way to cut the pieces to length. Now, this is definitely worth investing in if you're doing a lot of flooring or if your rooms are enormous. So why did we choose vinyl plank flooring for this particular job? Well, aside from the ease of installation, the number one reason we chose it is because of its durability. Vinyl plank flooring like this is 100% waterproof, which means if you ever spill something or if water gets on the floor somehow, it won't damage the floor, which also makes it incredibly washable. Now, this DuraClick floor from Rona has a particularly thick wear layer, which means it's going to last extra long. But most importantly, it looks good and it looks real, which is not true of all vinyl floors. This one has a micro beveled edge, which gives it a very realistic wood-like joint. Combine that with a wood grain textured finish, and I bet you'll fool a few people into thinking that's a real hardwood floor. But it's not. It's vinyl, which is better in a lot of ways, and we've just told you most of them. So if you're looking to upgrade the flooring in any room of your house and want something that's easy to install, will last forever, and looks as beautiful as it is durable, consider heading to Rona and picking yourself up some DuraClick XRP, and anything else you might need for your home renovations while you're there.